Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Heather Walker and the host of the Lead with Levity podcast. And I'm very excited to bring back one of my very beloved guests from last year, Robin Dreeke. Robin is an ex FBI agent. He oversaw the counterintelligence unit for the FBI, which is really cool. We had an awesome conversation last year. And if you're interested, if you love what we talk about today, I encourage you to check out that episode and get a deep dive into it. We talked about how to build rapport with anyone. So if you look that up, you're going to find it there. So, Robin, welcome. How has your year been?
Heather, it has been awesome because I'm back with you again. So nothing but always positive energy every time we chat, and
Yeah,
it was we talked about before. It was a year that we faced a massive tempo change in life. And I always say we cannot control the tempo of change around us. All we can do is make a choice to try to keep up with it or not. And this
right.
year, every single generation that's alive right now is going to be looking back at this year and say, I was there when.
Right.
And because the tempo change is massive, it's huge, and those that can keep up are going to feel a little more comfortable than those that are struggling with it. But that's what it
That's
all comes
true.
down to. All comes down to how do you survive tempo changes? It comes down to great relationships and building that trust with people.
That's very, very true. I'm thinking about it now, all the stories that I'm going to tell my grandkids. Like, for a whole year, I sat in my house. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't do anything. I made cheese. I made bread. I made a garden. I did this. I did that. And they're going to look at me and they're going to say, Grandma, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Nobody does that anymore. Like, that didn't really happen.
Right.
I said, yes, it did. A whole year. The world stopped moving.
Yeah, and I'm going to be telling mine that, hey, the extrovert found a way to be happy doing sitting at home because
Ooh,
you know,
yeah,
I became happy with Zoom. Doing Zoom calls, podcasts. When you popped up on, saying, hey, let's get together, chat again. I actually start jumping up and down. I get to chat on my computer again. I mean, who said that before?
right.
So it's been a great year of learning how to value each other in a new way. And thank goodness, can you imagine? What the poor souls back during the Spanish flu in the early 1900s dealt with before we had the ability to connect electronically. I mean, all these
Exactly.
things that you were doing, as a podcaster and as, as a specialist, we weren't using technology to its full capability, but thank
That's
gosh it
right.
was there. I
That's
mean,
right.
we've really all pivoted very rapidly to learning how to really keep connected the best we
Mhm.
could with the mediums that we had. So thank goodness for that.
Oh, you're so right about that. I can't imagine doing this without like Facebook and LinkedIn and all the social media and just the ability to call people and to do this FaceTime. I
Hmm.
mean, there's nothing, I mean, the only thing that really replaces this is being in person, of course. But yeah, that we're definitely better off right now than they were back then.
Yeah, I mean, I saw
So
my family more this year via Zoom than I did in person in the last 5.
I love it. I love it. So, what does an ex FBI agent do for fun now that you have to just sit down and be in one place?
Pretty much the same thing, believe it or not, and I know that's always the funny thing when you hear, that my background is I recruited spies and I ran our counterintelligence behavioral analysis program. Really, all I ever did every day of my life was strategize trust and strategize relationships. And so, what am I doing now? I do exactly the same thing. The fun part of my days are moments like this, moments where you connect with people, you're excited to see them, you see what value added you can bring to each other. So this year, and what I do is I chat with people and I partner with people. I form relationships. I see how I can support. Now, fun wise, I walk a lot. I've actually added because of this year. I added a lot more walking, and I'm a visual learner, and so I've always liked reading books, but reading books takes a heck of a long time because you can't do anything else. You can't multitask. So I became a massive Audible guy. I
Oh,
listen to
yeah.
a lot of books online when I'm
Love
walking.
Audible.
So yeah, I've been reading a lot that way, and I'm still a pilot, so, general aviation kind of guy. So I've been flying a little bit here and there just for fun, and the greatest pastime of all. witnessing the magnificence of my children growing up. They're in their 20s, and there's no better engaging sport in life than watching your children be successful and prosperous.
Okay, so I have to ask one follow-up before we go. Um, favorite book, like what book do you recommend on Audible? Where do you like to fly? Like favorite spots to fly? And are you like one of those wild flyers where you're doing spins and stuff? And then maybe a just sort of a memorable moment recently with the kids.
So where do I like to fly? So I fly small little planes I rent and a buddy of mine is a chief flight instructor, and he has a 1946 Air Coupe. It's called a small
Oh,
little
wow.
two-seater. I've flown all kinds of bigger planes and things like that too, but that's my favorite plane to fly on any small grass airstrip, like landing in a small farm field in the middle of nowhere is a fun adventure.
Yeah, I
Um,
bet for them too.
there are designated places that you can do that.
Right.
And so refresh me again. What was the first one?
The first one, okay, Audible.
Audible.
What do you recommend?
Boy, I tell you, I got a bunch because I love everything I read. So two of my recent ones that I've taken a lot out of. I read Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk. I thought
Ooh,
that was a really good book on self-awareness and calm thinking, which is all about, the most self-aware, calm people create the greatest trust in relationships with others. And so I thought that was a really good, validating book, really good reminders in there. I thought it was really good. The other one that's an old classic I didn't really realize existed, but I love adventure. I love struggles and things like that. And so I'm a lover of Ernest Shackleton's book, Endurance. But I'd read that numerous times before. And so what was recommended to me after that was a book called 2 Years Before the Mast. It is a classic that was written in the 1800s by a
mhm.
gentleman that was a Harvard graduate. He had contracted measles and it affected his eyesight. And
Wow.
his doctors recommended that he get more fresh air. So he decided to volunteer, well, he got paid very meagerly, on a merchant brig sailing ship out of Boston in the, I think it's 1830, and he sailed from Boston around Cape Horn to California. Before we were in California, it was just some local Indians and Mexicans doing and fur trading. It was the most intriguing book. Tells you about California in the 1830s, before
Mhm.
it was San Diego and San Francisco that just had a few adobe huts. I mean, there was nothing
Wow.
there. And the
Wow.
life of a sailor, not an officer or on a warship or anything, the life of a sailor before the mast, that's what they call it, in the 1800s, was a fascinating read. So if you want to get a perspective on life, and how bad things could be,
Right.
that's a good book. So those are probably my two recent ones that I thought were really good.
Awesome. And then the memorable moment with the kids.
Um, Boy, I've had so many this year because witnessing, so my son's at the Naval Academy, and there's always, when you go through any military training or a service academy, there's always this saying that, oh, the last plebe year, the last tough year was when I was there because I graduated there as well. And witnessing him and his classmates and all people serving right now, really leaning in hard and dealing with
Yeah.
severe good challenges and struggles this year, watching his defining moment, as well as also my daughter. My daughter graduated from George Mason this year as a
Mm.
nurse, and another child of service, and she started her nursing job 2 days later in June. So having a daughter during the time of the year of COVID as a nurse,
Right in there, right?
yeah, and watching them to thrive and adjust to this tempo of change that we talked about in this great challenging year, and starting to come out on the other end of it. That's the great moments, is just watching
Wow.
them thrive in a very challenging world right now. I mean, that's, what else could you ask for?
I hear you. So, proud papa. If anyone wants to learn a little bit more about you and the wonderful work that you do, where can they go?
Absolutely, Heather. Thank you for asking. So everything about me, the content, deeper dives on all these things, go to my website. It's called peopleformula.com, all one word, people formula. On there, you have links to podcasts like yours. So if you have nothing to spend, absolutely. I have videos, podcasts, lots of content there. I have thoughts of the day I put out. I do blogging and stuff like that, but I also have an online training academy. And what I love doing for awesome people like you and your audience is I put together a coupon code. It's called
Okay.
Levity 25, because it's Lead with Levity. Levity 25, all lowercase, all in one line. It gives you 25% off of anything that I offer on my website.
Thank you.
And
That is
also,
awesome.
awesome. I love doing that. I love sharing. And also, it's very easy to get a hold of me. If anyone has any kind of questions, comments, or anything, fill out any of the forms on there. Find me on LinkedIn, social media. One of the things I love is trying to create that great personal brand that I am accessible. I'd love to have a chat. If you have any kind of questions, concerns, or if I can be a resource for you in any way, please reach out.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Robin. I am so glad that we were able to reconnect, and I'm happy to hear that you're well. You're doing really cool things. I wish that I could fly, among
If you
other
come to
things.
Virginia, you come with me and bring your
All
new dog
right.
too.
Alrighty then. Alrighty then. That's awesome. So everyone, please take a moment, check out Robin's resources, check out the podcast. I think you're going to really enjoy and appreciate the message. Take care.
Take care.